Hey everyone, it's John Carella, one of the co-creators and executive producer of Dance Moms. This week on Dance Dad with John Carella, the podcast, we have Justin Wirick, a dancer in Wicked, the Broadway National Tour, and a former Mr. Dance of Pennsylvania. We talk about his 15 years dancing in Wicked, gymnastics, and how he has kept performing after the passing of his mom. Are you ready to be bold and be fierce? Please welcome to the stage, Justin Wirick. Well, welcome back, everybody. To me, it feels as though this is the first episode, although it's not. It's going to be most likely the second episode. But I am super excited. I, as well as a lot of you, are on this Wicked bandwagon of the Broadway show, the movie. So I thought it would be appropriate and super meaningful because this person in front of me has been in the show for, I'll let him tell you, but please welcome to the stage, Justin Wirick.
Thank you for having me, John. I'm excited to do this today.
I'm so happy you agreed. I know podcasts are, they're different for us because we don't see the people, and two, they just hear us. So as dancers, we're used to people just seeing us dance, not really hearing our voice, but
Absolutely.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy your voice is being heard today. So with that, back to our regular schedule programming, we're going to do how are you feeling? Where do you feel it? What color is it? And what is it saying? So we'll go back. Do you want me to do that first or you to go first?
You go first.
Okay. How am I feeling? I'm feeling very peaceful. I feel it in my stomach. Its color is, green. Come on. That would be weird if I didn't feel green right now.
Right.
And it's saying, no one mourns the wicked. So how are you feeling this lovely day?
Oh, I'm feeling a little bit anxious and nervous because I don't do these often. Like you said, dancers, we speak with our bodies and our expression, but not so much our voice. So this is different for me.
Where do you know? And just so you know, another thing in this whole season 1 is about embracing our nerves. I'm sure if you were to go through probably half of my podcast, I said I was feeling anxious. So anxious is it doesn't change, as you know, being in the show. I'm sure do you still get nervous doing Wicked?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's getting worse. I think I'm more nervous and more anxious now because the stakes just feel a little bit higher this late in my career. Yeah.
No, you have more to lose. Or I don't want to say lose, but I told this story before. I worked with Meryl Streep once, and it was in a scene, and we were dancing similar. You know how when we dance, then we sit back and we let the actors act, and we just act like we're listening, but
Right.
sometimes we're not.
Yeah.
But I was watching her get ready for the scene, and she was nervous, and I was shocked. And it's because you care.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about you. One, FYI, Justin cares so much. He was way prepared today. He was on the recording link way before I was. And it reminded me of how prepared you always are ever since I've known you. And I'm not surprised that you are still in Wicked. And how long have you been in Wicked?
So depending on when this airs, I will be celebrating 15 years on January 27th. That's like physically being in the show. That was my first show back in 2010 in Greensville, South Carolina. But my first day of rehearsal and actually showing up backstage and seeing everything for the first time was January 14th, 2010. So we're coming up on that.
This is going to air in February, hopefully, okay. God willing. So one, I love that it was Greensville. Come on.
I know, right?
I'm just staying with the green.
Greenville. Yep.
And are you the longest person in Wicked?
I don't really know who I need to confirm this with. I'm going to work on it, but I think I might be close to, or if not, the longest running continual cast member in the show of all the companies around the world, which would be a really cool thing and quite an
No, that would
honor.
be really cool.
But yeah, I need to ask the folks who may have those numbers or information.
But definitely in your own company, correct?
Within my own company, that is correct.
And what company are you in?
I am in the Wicked National Tour. We were the Wicked Second National Tour. There were two tours at one time. The first one went out, I believe, in 2005, 2006. And then this tour opened up in 2009. And the other tour closed in 2015. So we're the only ones. So we're the Wicked National Tour. We also have a nickname, the Munchkinland Tour.
The Munchkinland Tour. Why'd you all get that? I mean, why did they give you that name? Are you?
I think it's just a way to separate the companies.
Okay.
I think the other tour was called the Emerald City Tour. Just a little insider way to separate the names.
What do they call the Broadway show tour or Broadway show?
It's probably just Wicked Broadway. Yeah.
They just get that.
Yeah, when there was a sit down company in San Francisco, I think they were called Wicked Shiz University, just different things from the show.
Okay. So you're feeling, and hey, maybe you're not feeling anxious anymore, but you said anxious. What color is it? If it were a color.
It's green.
Good. Green. I love it. Speaking of, look, I
love that.
Does everyone that, also, if you want to watch the on camera and see, I can say this, Justin's handsome face. I mean, come on. He looks like Ken. Are you kidding me? And you want to see my face and what I'm wearing. It's not Wicked, but it's the Wiz that I did years ago. So I thought it was kind of connected somewhat, of course, kind of similar to Wicked, where Wicked is an offshoot of the Wizard of Oz.
Mm-hmm.
And then look what I have. I have Justin gave me a Wicked coffee cup, maybe I think during the pandemic, but so I'm trying to stay on brand or on theme.
I drink my coffee out of that mug every single morning. It's a good one.
So you green, and where do you feel it?
Feeling it in my stomach.
Stomach. All right. We love that. It's a roller coaster. And what, if it had a voice, what is it saying to you?
It is saying, just breathe today and defy gravity.
Yeah. So speaking of defying gravity, why do you feel Wicked why do people love it so much for so long?
It was always a dream show of mine. I remember seeing it in New York with some of the original company in 2004, and something about it stuck with me. And I particularly remember seeing a boy in the ensemble tumbling, and I loved his movement. And then come to find out years later, there is a part in the show, a track in the show called the Tumbler track. And that's what I ended up being cast in. So that's kind of crazy. And of
Tumbling,
course, yeah.
So Tumbling, did you, well, one, do you still tumble? And two, where did you learn how to tumble?
I do still tumble. I've scaled things down a little bit as I'm getting older. But one of my very first big tricks that I learned when I was younger, I think I was maybe 8 or 9, was a side aerial. And so I definitely throw those into the show quite often. And I learned how to tumble at a dance studio back home in Uniontown, Pennsylvania, where I grew up.
So this is crazy. Another Pennsylvania. What is in the water there? Because
I have no clue.
all you people from Uniontown, Monroeville, Pittsburgh, did you ever compete? I know you didn't go to Lorraine Sousa, but did you ever compete against her kids? Because FYI, all of you dance mom fans and dancers that compete, Justin was a competitive dancer.
I was a competitive dancer, and we did compete against Lorraine Sousa in the Dance Masters of Pennsylvania, Dance Masters of America organization. And I think maybe why there are so many wonderful dancers and students that come out of that area is a lot of us are competitive studios, and so I think there's just this reputation or this history of pushing each other, and that's how you grow and that's how you get better. Just constantly competing against one another. So close knit. Um,
Are
yeah,
you competitive?
I am
Yes,
competitive.
he
I
is,
am
everybody.
competitive.
I'm
Maybe
answering. We've even Justin and I get competitive over gymnastics.
we sure do.
Speaking of his acrobatics, I feel. Did you ever go into? Did you ever compete in gymnastics? Because you love it so much.
Right. I never competed in gymnastics. I just wanted to learn how to tumble. I remember maybe when I was younger, trying out some of the apparatus at like a YMCA.
Hmm.
Um, but all I wanted to do was just tumble on that spring floor. So I just kept with the tumbling and got more into dance and tried to marry the two, the tumbling and the dancing.
So tell us what was I feel in typical Justin fashion. First of all, how old were you when you got Wicked?
I would have been. So I actually had three different offers before I joined the tour when I did in 2010. I was doing the Radio City Christmas Spectacular, one of the tours.
See the little, I have it up here on the
Yeah, I
wall.
do.
Was that your first job?
It wasn't my first job, but it was definitely the first biggest thing I got to do, and that was in 2007. And while I was in rehearsals for that show, probably in like October, because we're doing the Christmas show in November, December. I got an offer for Wicked in the Chicago sit down company at the time.
Oh, I didn't
And
know that.
yeah, and I unfortunately had to pass on that, which made me sick to my stomach. But because I didn't want to burn any bridges, I was already under contract with Radio City, and I did not just want to up and leave. And then similarly, the same thing happened the following year. I was doing Radio City again, and I got an offer for the Wicked Germany company, where they hire some Americans. So I had to pass that up. And then another year goes by, 2009, I got another offer for the Wicked Germany company that I was doing West Side Story, the European Asian
Mm.
tour. And I was in
Was
the
that with
Netherlands.
Melissa and Carla?
No,
Oh, okay. Who choreographed that one?
that was Joey McNeely. He choreographed it and directed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Joey McNeely. Yeah. He's old school.
he is. Yes. And so I was already over there in Europe. I was in the Netherlands, and our tour was about to take a break um, before another leg in the spring. And so I was highly considering it, but I really wanted to get back to the States. And, I was nervous. I was young and afraid at the time to have just been out of the audition world and choreographers world. So I passed on that. But then a couple days later, they came back with a spot opened up on the Wicked second national tour. How would you like that in the Tumblr track? And I said, absolutely. This is like the dream come true, a full production contract, touring, in the United States, and going to cities I had never been.
And
Um,
you were what, 19?
I was 21. I was
Oh,
21. So
21.
my first offer, I was 19, which maybe I would have been too young to accept that and experience it correctly. So, everything happens in the time it's supposed to. So I was 21 when I started this tour.
And that's what I was saying earlier in typical Justin fashion. His dancing is so talented. He always comes so well prepared.
Mm.
So, of course, in his world, he's like, oh, you get out of high school, you get Wicked. That's kind of how it went, but that's not how it goes for a lot of people. I guess what would be the advice to help people? Because, you all are still, there's a Justin watching right now that's probably 15, 16 that wants to do the track you do.
Right.
What advice would you give them right now to be a part of Wicked?
That is so tough to answer because there are so many different directions you can take, and the direction that I took won't necessarily work, for someone else.
But what did you
Yeah,
take? Because it works for you, so maybe it'll work
right.
for them.
Well, yeah. So, I believe in yes, a lot of hard work and timing, and also a sprinkle of good luck in there. I had a scholarship to go to Point Park University right out of high school and stay in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. Um, but some things happened that summer before, and I had the opportunity presented to me to move to the West Coast and move to LA,
Hmm.
and get an agent and start auditioning, and had some teaching lined up. And that my university, Point Park, agreed to hold my scholarship for a year, which was very helpful,
I
and
didn't
very
know that.
exciting. Yeah, and I think that's the only reason my parents allowed me to take this shot of coming out here and auditioning.
Did you audition out here for Wicked, or did you have to go to New York?
I did. I auditioned in LA for Wicked. And I really enjoyed auditioning out here. At the time, it's probably changed a lot now. I feel like everybody is a technical dancer, but I just think I had a different look, and I was a technical dancer. And I think that always helped me just stand out a little bit more, and get through some of the callbacks a little bit further. Also, Wicked is very good at hiring from all across the country, and not just out of New York. So I would say the
Hmm.
cast right now is 50-50 West Coast, East Coast. And a lot of Broadway shows are not like that.
Really? Okay, I
Yeah.
didn't know that. Why do you feel they do that? The company.
I don't know. I think they can get a different type of energy, a different type of dancer. The Wicked choreography is very contemporary,
Yeah.
and so I think they can just get some different looks. And also in the Wicked choreography, there's room to be an individual. And even though we do some unison choreography, they still want you uh, to bring um, to bring your background to it.
Speaking of choreography in the movie, well, let's go to the movie.
Okay.
You know, back to that because you brought up the choreography. How did you feel about the choreography in the movie?
I absolutely loved it. I thought Christopher Scott did an awesome job. Particularly Loathing. I cannot stop watching that number.
Is
What
that
is
with
this
the
feel?
book?
What is this feeling? Is the song, but we call it Loathing because we say Loathing in the song a zillion times. Yes, the bookography, and especially like when they go to the cafeteria and they're doing all that choreography with like their forks and knives, and eating their lunch. I just thought it was really brilliant. Dancing Through Life as well. The only thing that, and maybe it's because I'm in the show, and one of my favorite numbers in the show as a dancer in the show is the OzFest Ballroom.
Hmm.
That's the only place where I was just missing more of a sweeping romantic
Hmm.
lyrical movement. Just like in the show, we do all kinds of lifts, and it's a little more balletic and a contemporary feel. So I think I'm just so attached to that.
No,
But other than that, it was great.
I can definitely understand that because I remember you doing a lot of lifts with your long wig. You have a long wig, right?
Oh, that's in the Emerald City number as a long wig,
Oh,
and
okay.
the green
In
numbers.
Ozfest, you don't, or Oz
Ozfest
does.
is the black and white costume
Oh,
plots. Yeah.
so all of you, if you're watching throughout, if you go, how long? Well, speaking, I almost said how long is the tour going, but it's been going 15 years. So you can go see Justin if at any of these cities. I know you all are here right now in LA. That's why I'm lucky enough to get you for this time. But he has a long wig at the end, not in the beginning. I think I'm saying that right. I just remember the long wig.
When we're in the
Um,
green costumes, anytime we're in the Emerald City, I have a long wig.
okay. And I thought that too. I felt that my opinion is that it didn't, like you said, Wicked choreography has such style, and
Mm,
it would be similar. I was trying to explain to someone yesterday that it's almost similar to Shakespeare, where it has its own cadence.
mm,
And so I felt that Wayne Salento cadence wasn't in the movie.
right.
Maybe the Wicked brand was, but not, the hand, and just,
Yeah.
I just wish it was done very well and so entertaining, but just a little more homage tribute to Wayne Salento because the choreography is such a big part of the show's success.
I agree. I agree. There was so much homage in the movie paid to the show. And yes, probably just not as much or not enough, to the choreography, the original choreography.
And that's something else that, not with Justin, but I'm going to have someone else on the podcast to talk about that, because choreographers and choreography can get kind of overlooked a lot in film and TV. Obviously, I'm not someone that's big in award shows. I didn't watch the Golden Globes. Sorry, everybody. But even in that, they don't give a choreographer, they
Right.
give where that, I'm sorry, but that scene in the film where they're with the wheels and dancing through life,
Yeah,
that wouldn't look that way without a choreographer. So the fact that
absolutely.
you don't acknowledge for an award, if you're going to give out awards, but that's something we're going to talk about, because hopefully that'll change in Hollywood. I know in New York, they give a lot of credit to choreographers. So,
Absolutely.
did
It's a
you
lot of
have,
work.
so people, the young Justins out there, or young, hey, Justin is non-gender. I've seen a Justin female, right? Is that a Justine? Okay. So
Justin?
whether you're Justin or Justine, what advice would you give about, do they need to train their voice? Did you have to use your voice for the audition?
Absolutely. I did have to sing in the audition. I'm definitely not as confident of a singer as I am a dancer and a tumbler. But I'm very grateful that I think from the age 11, my parents had me in a vocal lesson once a week, just 30 minutes.
I
That
never knew
really
that. Are you
helped.
serious?
Yeah.
Justin, I was totally judging you right now. I'm sorry. I was thinking like you got it just based off your technique. So, okay. Well,
Nope. I went to a little music store in the back. My vocal coach, his name was Dave Martin, and I went there on Saturdays for 30 minutes. And yeah, ever
wow.
since I was 11, it never felt anything. We never did any sort of like recitals or anything. Maybe that would have been good for me because I am such a nervous singer. But yeah, I'm very happy that we did that, and I sang in the choir or chorus in school, and it did our musicals in high school. So all of those things helped marry the voice and the movement and the performing.
So you've talked about nerves and you being nervous. I understand that as someone who performs, and luckily I've given a lot of love to my nerves and still do. But
I'm working on
um,
it.
I know it's always going to be there, like I said. So what do you do before you're going to do a show and you're feeling nervous? What do you do to calm yourself down?
Well, I think within Wicked, I have just these. I would label them as like rituals, but just these little things that bring me back to home base.
Hmm.
In the beginning of the show, I come out in front of the map, we call it, as a monkey, and just playing, squatting off stage for a moment, like earlier than I need to, just to
Hmm.
breathe and just to focus, just little things like that. And a ritual can also be like an interaction you look forward to with another cast member on stage every time. And you guys always
Hmm.
have that. You always make eye contact or something. There's something comforting about that.
What
And especially
interaction
when
do you
you're,
look forward to?
what interaction do I look forward
I'm
to?
sure you have one because you brought it up.
I, I do like, maybe once in a while there's this part in the Ozfest where we walk around each other and maybe I get a little slap like on my back. You know what I mean? Just like
Yeah.
little ways to like check in and like just keep checking things off a list as you're getting through the show. Do you know what I mean? Those are all
And
very
being present. It
comforting, and being
sounds
present.
getting in your body before. It sounds as though you're getting in your body by squatting and warming up, and then looking for those moments where you can connect
Yeah.
with people.
I also
Um,
get into my costume. I'm probably one of the first people to get into costume and to get on stage. So just having that quiet time, that
mm.
alone time, is my ritual for sure. I'm usually one of the first people in the theater as well. I love getting there an hour and a half before the
Wow,
show,
Justin.
and we're not required to be there till 30 minutes before. But I just love the stillness, the quiet, because it gets a little crazy once everyone's there. You know.
Stillness and quiet. It sounds as though you get there on your own, But then when you're on stage, you look for those moments of stillness and quiet.
Absolutely.
Because they're always there, even when there's, what's the biggest theater you all have performed in, people-wise?
I would say one of the Fox theaters, either in St. Louis or Atlanta. They're around like 4,000 seats. Huge.
So 4,000 people are looking at you. There is stillness there, especially you can hear a pin drop in a lot of the scenes. And that's because everyone is listening. So it's good to know for people that are in this amazing art form that we do, some techniques of what to do for whether they're competing or doing a show in their high school or auditioning and just starting. But I will say I'm not surprised by what you said and that you're still doing the show, because I think those rituals are gold and have kept you in the show for so long. When, I mean, you see it, the what do they call that? Turnover is probably so much within the show.
But that keeps it fresh for me. That turnover in the show, I'm constantly, even though it's the same music and the same choreography 8 times a week, 52 weeks a year, doing it with different people just changes the energy of it. So that helps. And then also remembering that it's a completely different set of eyes in the audience on you too. So even though the show might be the same, there's a whole different energy in that theater. I just feel very receptive to energy. So that's really helped me on this journey.
Well, it sounds that too, that's what keeps it fresh for you.
Absolutely.
Because it could get boring doing something.
Sure. And some people struggle with that. I see that.
Yeah. And, that goes for even if you act, people do plays on Broadway 8 times a week and they got to make it fresh each time, and
it's easy to get burnt out.
It is easy to get burnt out. I can see that for sure. How is the film similar? And how wasn't it similar, I would say? Because some people I know, I watched it on New Year's Day. She had never seen Wicked, the Broadway show.
Oh, wow.
And I was shocked. I was like, what? And she was a performer. She's like, I've never seen it. I was like, so, it's good to know what was similar and what was different, because some people are going straight off the movie now.
Right. I mean, there were a lot of similarities. I loved that they wanted to stay true to the Broadway show.
Musically, I felt they stayed the same musically, right?
Yeah, the big numbers, but it was really fun to hear some of the background orchestrations during different dialogue and different scenes. Things that, some things that we don't have in our show. I loved the change of dialogue because it's so funny. As the movie's going, the dialogue from the show is just naturally in my ear. So just anytime they switched lines around or just something, like I was like, oh, that's fun. That's different. And then I started thinking right away, oh, I wonder why they dropped this line or why they changed this word or used a different word instead of this word to change it up. So that was very, very fascinating and interesting. But I think what Ariana said, with some things that they wanted to change from the show, but they didn't, because she said, that's Bible. You cannot change that.
Like the hair flips.
The hair flips, and I think in the one thing was in One Short Day in the Emerald City, they were originally going to cut that big line, "The wizard will see you now," but Ariana insisted that stay in. That's Bible. You can't take that out of the movie.
Isn't that the first line of the movie? Isn't that the first line of the show? No.
No, that comes at the end of One Short Day, right before she enters the wizard's mansion or house to meet with him for the first time.
So what is the first line of the show, Justin?
The first line of the show is "Good news, she's dead."
You do know it, yeah. What's the last line?
Wicked, wicked, wicked. In the stage show.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it'll be the same though. They actually ended it similar to intermission, right? Like pretty much exactly.
Yeah, pretty much exactly. in the stage show after the war cry, the down, it goes blackout, and there was a little bit of more of a scene of Elphaba flying away at the end of the movie, but yeah, very similar.
So, is your favorite city to perform in the Fox Theater? What's your favorite city to perform Wicked in?
Oh, this is so difficult because I find good things everywhere I go. I have to. That's what keeps me that's what keeps me happy and keeps me
Yeah.
joyful and keeps me excited. Um, oh, that is such a tough question because I like so
Okay,
many
well,
places.
then maybe what's the least favorite city? Maybe you know that. I mean, it could be anything. It could be because the floor's not good. You know, it doesn't have to be the
Okay,
audience.
for a while, this is still within. This is just after my first year of touring. We were in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It was February, and it was so cold. And we were performing in an auditorium on a college campus, which happens a lot on tour. Um,
Really?
yeah,
Is
sometimes
that because
that.
they don't have a theater for the city?
Yeah, or
Okay.
that's just the yeah, that's the bigger venue that can house the show and hold all the fly rails, all the elements that are required for the show to run.
That's crazy because you go from the Pantages
Yeah,
then to that. That would be my least favorite city too.
yeah. Well, when we go to Tempe, Arizona in March, we play the ASU Gamage. It's actually part of the campus. It is a theater, but it's part of the campus.
Hey, don't hate on
Oh no,
ASU because I'm from Phoenix and
that theater's
that's my
beautiful.
no, I'm just saying, but I will say that I didn't know that. I thought it was always just a theater.
Nope.
That's where I saw my first show, Chorus Line, when I was a kid there.
No way.
So
Well, let me finish real quick.
okay.
So Albuquerque, it was even though we were like in the Southwest, I didn't know at the time that the elevation was so high there. So in February, it was freezing, and the heating system went out in the school and the theater. I just remember rehearsing in a room that was like 60 degrees, which doesn't feel like that cold, but it is when you're sweating and dancing. And we probably honestly probably weren't allowed to be doing that um, with union rules and stuff like that, but we were. And I just remember everybody getting sick, and it was just a really
Mm.
tough, cold, dry 3 weeks. That's what I remember.
Are you going
Hard to
back there
breathe in the
anytime soon?
elevation. We are not. We were back there in 2018, and even though it was warmer, it was still just as difficult to do the show there.
Oh.
Denver and okay, I guess some of my least favorite cities are cities in higher elevations because it really does make a difference with the breathing and the stamina and the singing. And it's
Hmm.
usually a high desert, so it's dry. Those are just things that play a factor into performing.
You said singing, so what was your audition song that you sang for your audition?
Uh, for the longest time, Billy Joel.
Oh,
Yeah.
I won't make you sing, although a part of
No,
me
please don't.
you know what? I feel Justin again. Justin's being perfectionist. I've never heard him sing, but I feel he probably sings a lot better than he has acted with me because the fact that I know you did privates your whole life, I'm sure
Mm.
you're good.
I had to psych myself up for the the singing audition part. The part of the audition with the singing for Wicked. I had to pretend like, I was this was American Idol, and I really psyched myself out, and it was one of my better vocal auditions. I'm more comfortable singing in a group, so that's why it's also so fun to do this show as more of a dancer. But I get to sing these huge songs, and like I'm a tenor two in the show, so I'm really like screaming up there, and I'm there's no way I could do that alone. That's just how I'm wired. Um, but yeah.
What is your favorite song in Wicked and why?
Favorite song in Wicked, I think, would have to be The Wizard and I. It's Elphaba's first big show-stopping song. And I think I just love how how it's the beginning of a journey, and she's so happy and so innocent and so excited for something, and it just really builds to her belting at the end, and I'll stand there with the wizard feeling things I've never felt. It just really like gives me chills.
Mm.
So any day that I jump in the wing and watch that number, I can get chills. And I think there's something about it that just reminds me of a young me, and even me still.
Mm.
I love getting excited about things. I love, yeah, getting giddy about things. You
I
know,
know,
yeah.
it's interesting that you say getting excited about things because for New Year's, my word of the year has been joy.
Mm,
And that's similar to joy because, hey,
yeah.
you and I know, I mean, we can watch, Daniela do Beam from
Mm,
1985
hmm.
and be on our couch and feel so much joy, the
Yeah.
little things. Um, it's, but it's interesting because I have a hard time feeling joy in my life. And I know at times you've even said to me, John, just let me be excited about this.
Yeah.
Let me,
Yeah. Yeah.
let
I
me,
feel so
let,
lucky. I feel so lucky that I don't know what it is, but I can, when I need to, I can access joy. I don't know where that comes from. Um, and I think an imagination. Maybe I'm good at like fantasizing. I don't know. I can always access or find joy when I need to, I think. Yeah.
I mean, probably from, would you say it came from your mom
Maybe, yeah,
or
maybe.
your dad?
My mom was my mom was always positive. She's like, you got to think positively. Always
Mm-hmm.
very positive, always looking forward to the next thing. Maybe that's where a lot of my anxiousness comes from too. 'Cause she was always planning, always looking forward to the next thing. And I always love having something to look forward to. And this lifestyle of touring is just that.
Mm.
I'm thinking about the next city, how that change is going to be. It's always a refresh, but then also the show itself, I get to have that rush, every night, 8 times a week, with those nerves and accomplishing something and standing on stage with that applause and standing ovation at the end. I think I'm just always receiving something good. I'm very lucky to have that.
Receiving joy because Wicked
Yeah.
makes people feel a lot of joy.
Hmm.
It really does. And
Yeah.
um, have you seen the audience? I think have you only been in one city since the movie came out?
We're two cities. We were actually in Seattle right before here.
Are
So
you
our
seeing it?
first
Is there more
audiences.
people coming? Are they more
Uh,
receptive? Is it a different vibe?
so Wicked has always sold incredibly well. But yes, there is definitely a different energy in the air. I think you can just feel that that's on everyone's mind, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe that has excited us on stage even more, because a lot of us know, oh, we know they've seen this, and now the question is, have they seen the live performance, the live stage show, and are they here solely because they saw the movie and now they're so
Mm.
curious and excited? And we know what the live show offers is it is so different, physically, or being able to actually see these costumes and things that are like tangible. So it's very exciting. They're two very special, spectacular things that aren't really like, strangely, there's no competing with each other. They're just both very beautiful, successful, different things in their own way.
And it's like Ariana said, the Bible
Hmm.
of the movie. It's where, so those of you who are going and haven't seen, I feel most people have seen the show, but if you haven't and you're listening, even down to the head of the Oz, that's pretty much exactly the same, right?
Yeah, they did keep a lot of things, yeah, very similar. I loved all the practical sets and like very minimal CGI. It's just spectacular and how it should have been done, and they did it. I think they did it right.
I know I brought up your mom and, I'm sorry about your mom's passing. And I know that was recent and sudden. How have you been able to, because a lot of listeners, a lot of us, I've talked to you about this with my mom's health.
Mm.
My mom is here and healthy. But a lot of us lose people that we love and have to go to work. How have you been able to still do that?
Yeah. Um, Thank you. I think I just know that's like on me being back on stage and back in the show is what she would have wanted. And maybe that's where I feel like I can connect with her the most, even though she's gone. I feel very lucky to have had. I brought my parents on tour with me actually for the past few years. They were selling merchandise for the show, so they were traveling with me, and we were living together. And my parents were cooking a lot, which was like so lovely. So I feel like I had such a gift, and all that
Hmm.
time we got to spend together. But the show, just being around, we're such a close knit family, and I don't know without them if I would be as okay as I am now. So
Mm.
that helps a lot. The show helps a lot. The family helps a lot. Being around people helps a lot. I feel like I'm actually missing less shows because I look forward to going and being around people. That's almost been like they're very therapeutic. It's a part of the day I really look forward to. That lifts me up.
That's beautiful. I
Thank
love
you.
that. That'll help a lot of people, um, including me when the time comes. So thank you. Um, we kind of we're going backwards a little bit, but you know, you, so I guess because the movie in itself, like I said, it helps a lot of people and people love it.
Mhm.
Why does it resonate so much with the gay community, with the LGBT community, you feel?
Mm. Because I think we've always felt, different or ostracized, or always felt like we were keeping a secret and having to hold everything in. Just as Elphaba was with her powers and her magic, she was always told to suppress that and don't show that,
Mm.
and control that. And then she goes through Shiz University, where that skill is celebrated and welcomed. And doesn't that sound like the story of so many LGBTQIA plus friends that we know and have? I think that's, yeah, we totally relate to it.
Did you, and maybe this goes back to your mom and dad, but um, were they very supportive of you starting dance as a young boy?
Yes, they were, and I don't know. I don't know why. I think they've always loved the arts. They loved singing together. They would karaoke. We always had music in the house. My dad plays guitar. So yeah, I think they were always supportive of singing, dancing, the arts. I think my mom actually took me to. I don't consider this part of my dance journey, but I think she took me to like a tap class when I was like 4 or 5, and I did not like it. I think I left screaming and crying. But then we tried again a couple years later when I was 6 with a tumbling class, an all boys tumbling class,
Mm,
uh,
the
which was
tumbling
yeah,
got
which
you
was
into it.
a very smart advertisement in the local newspaper from a dance studio, an all boys tumbling class. So that was like a way to start to filter boys or get boys to start dancing. Because then after that, we added, partnering and then jazz and ballet, and that was definitely my channel.
I know it sounds as though your parents were supportive, but unfortunately, I'm older than you, and you're older than the current young generation. But did you ever get bullied or made fun of for dancing?
I did. Um, I did, but then you know what? I'd say mostly in middle school, but then by high school, most people were understanding or accepting, or I was just in a group of I was in classes with just a group of kind, smart kids that didn't phase them or bother them, or they were focused on their own things. But in middle school a little bit, but I also, like I said, I have a big imagination, and I was always excited about things. I do think like I I describe myself as like I used to be like very outgoing as a kid, like in elementary school and like
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. And I thought everything was exciting. I loved to learn. I loved my teachers. Any little project was like super, super special, and I would go over the top. And I almost feel like uh, society, being school kids, kind of like beat me down for that a little bit. Like that wasn't a cool thing, or that wasn't a good thing, or like, you're at, so I think I just kind of like learned. Then I went into a shell and I kept everything to
Mm-hmm.
myself.
Was that
Um,
before or after you started dancing?
um, After the same time, because I started dancing I started dancing at 6. So
It's
so just
interesting.
in school. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you started at 6. So you
Hmm.
did start young.
Hmm.
Um, it's interesting because you're talking about creativity. Most people, mine would be dance wise, I got made fun of, but really it's creativity because, which is a bigger thing because that affects boys in general, regardless of your sexuality.
Yeah.
And I don't think you were, I do think it was stronger back then. It's still there, but represses that side. Due to it being more feminine, that only
Yeah.
feminine,
You worded
you
that
know,
correctly. Just creativity. Yeah.
yeah,
And
being
expressing
creative.
that wasn't like, I guess that wasn't a thing that boys were supposed to do or be open about, or, you know what I mean? Or get excited about or smile even, you know what I mean? Like you're cheesy for being a happy, smiley boy, man, you know?
And I told this yesterday to my friend, you even have to feel safe to feel joy.
Mm.
That's something that I'm realizing is just like you. Maybe it sounds as though your mom supported that or your dad, but no, you said it kind of because you were excited about something and
Yeah.
probably vocalized it and people said something about it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't
And most
safe
of
to
my,
be excited.
yeah. And most of my time was spent, like most of your time is spent at school. You know what I mean? You come home, you have dinner, you do your homework and you go to bed. And my parents worked, all the time. So, the majority of my life was in the classroom around these kids. But fortunately, I was able to flourish and um, have that outlet at the dance studio. So I guess I kind of balanced it out. But it was weird to be jumping between two different worlds, two different homes. You know?
I know that.
Yeah.
I definitely know that feeling of, and I think a lot of mostly boys or men that dance know that feeling of jumping
Mm.
in and out.
Yeah.
I wish I would have gone to an art school because I feel that would have helped me and
Right.
not suppress it as much. I would have been around theater kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
I think the same thing, but you know what? Like we can't change those things, and like maybe we wouldn't be who we are without the upbringing that we did have and going to public school. So I've learned to just like accept it and just be grateful that I had what I had, you know.
Oh, Justin, always being so positive. Um,
Yeah, I get made fun of for that too.
oh, I
This is
wasn't making fun of you.
no, no, no,
I'm
no, no,
sorry.
no,
I didn't
no,
mean
no,
it
no,
like
not
that.
you, not by you, but like by people, particularly like sometimes the younger generation. I get labeled as like toxic positivity, and I don't understand what that means, but I have to stay positive to keep moving forward and to find my joy. That's just a part of who I am and how I'm wired.
And maybe if they understood our story,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like Elphaba,
yeah,
when they understand the story, they know why we are the way that we are.
absolutely.
And it's I love that you said younger generation, because I'm even thinking you're probably talking about people that come into your cast now, right? Because there's probably 21-year-olds that pop in like you, right?
I don't think we're that young anymore, but like
Oh, okay.
they start mid-20s. Yeah. But no, but I have friends. Who are from a younger generation, who have used that word, and I'm like, I don't understand, but I like being positive. I don't know why that's a bad thing.
I
But
think what that means is as long as we're not putting our head in the sand,
I understand that.
and you understand, because that sometimes, because now we're going to talk about gymnastics, but we're not going to go in. But you understand, because I have my opinions about gymnastics at times,
Right.
which I think for me, I have to look at the joy more. See, like we can learn from each other. Like
Yeah.
I have to know to be excited as well as feeling that there's other things that need to be looked at that make us feel sad.
And
I think,
I need to be more aware of those things and not just live in
yes,
this like fantasy land.
and that you can handle it,
Yeah.
and like I love Brene Brown. She says being joyful is just as vulnerable as feeling scared.
Mm.
Because if you feel joy, there's fear that it's going to go away.
Right.
This moment of, it's like falling in love. But as with your mom, all those moments you had of joy, how grateful you are for them now.
Mm-hmm.
So, gymnastics.
Okay.
What do you love about gymnastics? Because I think you're similar to me, that maybe not, because now I'm learning more about you, that you just like the acro part. But I always felt like if you could, you'd either be a figure skater or a gymnast. But what do you
Hands
love
down.
about
Absolutely. I hope to come back in another
gymnastics?
life and be a figure skater or a gymnast.
And how has gymnastics influenced your dance career?
Yeah, I've been trying to think about like why, what it is, and particularly women's gymnastics. I love men's gymnastics as well, but women's gymnastics, it's almost like something. It's almost like something chemical happens. Like this is maybe more of a deep answer, but when I'm watching it, it's almost like there's some sort of chemical release in my brain, and
Mm.
I am just so relaxed and excited and happy. It brings me something.
Joy.
Joy, yeah, and it's just so artistic and beautiful and daring, and maybe being a dancer and having trained in some tumbling and gymnastics, I think having an awareness of how difficult it is to do these skills and to keep your legs straight and your toes pointed. I think having more of an awareness and appreciation that way is also why I love it, and it definitely has influenced my dancing.
Okay, I was having a little bit of a, as you can tell, coughing, but I got to talk through it because I want to get this podcast with Justin. So we're going to do this now because we're talking about gymnastics.
Mm-hmm.
You brought up Netherlands because you were going to do Wicked in the Netherlands, right?
In Germany, but I was doing West Side Story at the time in the Netherlands. So I was like, I'm already over here in Europe. Maybe I should. Yeah.
So this is trivia. What world was in the Netherlands?
What worlds were in the Netherlands? Was it? Well, I'm sure they've been there a few times, but was it 87? Oh.
Yes. Yes.
Really a Dobre all-around world champion from Romania, and the Romanian team beat the Soviets.
You see what I mean? I knew it. I was rooting for you. I was shocked you were doubting yourself, but yeah. It was Amsterdam.
I'm an overthinker.
Actually, it was Rotterdam.
Rotterdam, yeah.
Rotterdam. Yep. Ahoy, Rotterdam. And I performed there once.
That's cool.
And all I cared about was that. And the other dancers were like, what are you talking about? I was like, Daniela performed in this arena. Really, like it was this.
I got to do an industrial in Atlanta, Georgia, in the Georgia Dome before they tore it down, and I was like, "This is where the women's gymnastics happened. This is where the Magnificent Seven, happened."
So, who's your favorite gymnast?
Oh, this is such a tough question. I have many favorites for many different reasons, but one of the gymnasts who I feel like just married the athleticism and dance and ballet and everything and the power and grace so beautifully was Lilia Pokapaeva of Ukraine, the 96 Olympic all-around champion. But I have so inspired and by Shannon Miller from the United States, Kim Zmeskal, these women who were some of the first, the pioneers, Mary Lou Retton, the Magnificent Seven, and then Carly Patterson, Sean Johnson, Nastia Luka, and it just goes on and on.
And Carly, who you introduced me to, talk about someone who is just a good person outside of her insane talent.
Yeah.
I think it's appropriate that actually we're talking about her, because how have you been able to stay in your goodness throughout this, that word show business, but theater is hard. How have you been able to stay in your goodness and not become bitter and mean and jaded?
I think it honestly just comes from an awareness and deep sense of gratitude. I am a very nostalgic and sentimental person. And I never knew why. I remember everything, and I constantly revisit those memories, and I don't know why I'm wired that way. And then someone once said, someone who is very nostalgic just has a tremendous amount of gratitude, like, because you can access all those great memories that you want to relive all the time, and look forward to new ones. And that just, I don't know. I think that just keeps me afloat. It keeps me positive. It keeps me excited. And just always having an awareness and perspective. On a really hard day, if I need to dig deep and find a reason to get through, like I have so many beautiful things to reference or to go back to, in my mind, like just like yesterday, it was the end of the week. We had two shows. But a friend was flown in last minute, a best friend of mine, to cover for the weekend, in one of the tracks in the show. And last night, he said, "You know what, Justin, this could be the last time we ever get to do this together. You just never know." And that was enough perspective, like, to get through the last show. And it was fantastic. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I think
that'll keep you present.
Yeah, just always being able to access, those tools, those memories, the perspective, the gratitude. And I know that can be so difficult for people. Not everyone can do that. So I really am grateful that I can do that.
I love that. I'm going to start using that. And again, I've said this before, but you're giving so much joy to the fans of Wicked. Do you have any crazy fan stories? Because I'm sure there's some crazy Wicked people who have gone to see it and who like worship you and stand outside.
Absolutely. And we're not going to call them crazy fans. We're going to call them super fans.
We won't say that. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah. See,
okay.
This, I'm showing my age. Crazy to me is a good thing. Okay.
Yeah,
so I will
rephrase
that. Meaning maybe obsessed. I don't think that's an obsessed fan who loves the show.
I'm an obsessed fan when it comes to gymnastics. So like, I understand. Nothing too recent, but I do remember years ago coming out the stage door. This was in Charlotte, North Carolina, and someone had like a green Mustang or something, and they wanted us to sign the interior of their car. And I was like, and I haven't gotten to do that since. So I thought that was pretty cool. To love the show so much that you want us to autograph the inside of a car. Okay.
No tattoos yet. You haven't had. Nobody's got a tattoo
we've definitely seen tattoos of the witches on people.
No, but not of Justin.
No, not of me. No, don't tattoo me on you. No. Before I was in the show, I was a Wicked super fan of sorts too. I love, and still to this day, I love going down the YouTube rabbit hole, wormhole of listening to just all the different witches sing their songs and their versions, and go back to a time when it was different and people were doing things for the first time, and the riffs.
Who are some of those people? Who are some of those people that you would recommend to go listen?
Oh my goodness, there's so many. But Marcy Dodd, who was our original Elphaba on this tour, Vicky Noon, who was. She was the standby at the time in Wicked LA at the Pantages when it was sit down here, when the sit down company was here. And I saw her go on mid show when I saw the show here at the Pantages in LA in 2008. Teal Wicks, also spectacular. Christine Dwyer, Eden Espinosa, Shoshana Bean, Adina,
wow.
I love to go back.
Because I probably don't know, but what are some people that have, besides Adina and, oh my God, I can't believe I'm forgetting her name. Who's Glenda? Kristen. Besides them, who's gone on to get more success in TV and film that came from Wicked?
I know. Anyone who gets to play those parts, whether on tour or Broadway, it's a catapult. They're catapulted into so much great stuff.
Adam Lambert, I can think of him.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for giving me one. Because
he was in Pantages.
Of an answer. Yeah,
that he was the Fierro. I remember that.
Fierro understudy. He actually never. I don't think he actually ever played the role. He was just an understudy.
No, I saw him.
No, yes, but he was an understudy. He never actually was titled the role of Fierro.
Oh, I must have seen him when he came in as an understudy. Got it.
But went on to American Idol, was the runner-up, and what a successful career.
Now he's running Queen. I mean, he's the lead. Yeah, it's crazy. We've seen it. Justin and I know a lot of people. Oh, speaking of, did you watch Dance Moms?
The series,
Yeah, come
the whole
on. What
show.
did you
Yes,
think
yeah,
of?
yes, I did.
Did you like it? What? Come on. Was that your experience of dance competitions?
No, no, that's not. That's not how it works. You don't learn a new number, a new solo, a new group number every
No, I
week.
meant
Oh,
the
sorry.
moms and the
I
moms.
mean, sure, yes or no. We're, as a student, I felt more removed from that. I never heard what the moms would talk about. I loved all of our moms, and sometimes I would go to the competitions with other moms because my parents were working and they'd have to show up later. So I don't know, I just always felt very loved for and like cared for. I think my parents enjoyed just kind of staying away from the mom talk and just not getting involved in any of the,
And I feel too, Justin and I being male, I don't think we are always kind of, I mean, I was spoiled being the only guy, and I think
yeah,
you were too at the studio. So we didn't
same.
see the dynamics of
Yeah.
competitiveness between,
I think when I was younger, there was some talk amongst the dance moms that yeah, why is he being favored? Why is he getting this? Why is he getting that? But I think when I was like 11 or 12, and I think they truly could just recognize the talent or like what I contributed to these groups and these ladies and getting to partner them and do duets and small groups and all these things. I think they really came around to what a how awesome is it that we all get to experience this together and have a boy be a part of the group. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like any of that jealousy was kind of squashed early on, which was nice, and I had to deal with a lot of dance mom drama.
I feel this is what I was going to say too. You'll laugh at this.
Hmm.
Dance studios need a union. So then the
Yeah.
dance moms can't get involved. Because if there's a union, you can't go
Protections.
and talk to what do you call it?
I said protections.
Yeah,
Rules,
you can't go
protections.
and
Yeah.
complain about such and such. Um, well, we are nearing the end. What's the last number of Wicked?
um, the last number is the duet between the witches for good.
Oh my
I have been
God, that
changed for good. Yes.
I can't. That number always gets me. I'm so how excited are you for part two?
So excited. More so, because I think there's going to be a lot of filling in to do in the Act Two version of the movie. Because in the show, Act Two is only an hour long, and I think there's going to be so many more scenes and dialogue and two new songs. So
Mm.
more of things we don't know what to expect or we haven't heard. They're going to be brand new, more tying in the Wizard of Oz, I think. So I'm actually more excited for part two than I was part one, but maybe that's just because now I've seen part one three times and
Me too.
now the wait begins. Like, what are
I
we
have to
like
buy it. I'm gonna
10
buy it
months?
too.
10
Yeah.
months and some out from that. So yeah.
Well, we are in our for good part of the show, and I've been changed for the better by you. That's for sure, Justin.
Same, John. This is yeah, really cool that stayed friends all these years and it's fun to finally be back in your backyard.
I know. I know. So I'm gonna ask you some final questions about dance.
Okay.
It's like um, I keep saying it's similar to Jeopardy, but it's not. It's more of a catchphrase. Remember catchphrase?
Yeah.
So just whatever comes to mind.
Oh God, I'm not good at this.
Favorite dance movie?
Favorite dance movie. Dirty Dancing.
Favorite Broadway show?
Wicked.
Good. Job security. Favorite dancer?
Favorite dancer, Brishnikov.
Favorite choreographer?
Bossy.
Favorite
Bob
style
Fosse.
of dance?
Lyrical.
If you could do a solo for Star Power Nationals, what would it be?
I'd bring an oldie back out of the closet. Josh Groban, "You Raise Me Up." That was like a really popular artist for the guys back in the day for powerful lyrical solos.
Did you do that?
I sure did.
Oh, you know what? You might see it. I might get some footage from Justin. You never know. I'm going to be his dance dad.
All
Okay,
right.
so how can people follow your adventure on Wicked? What are your socials?
Yeah, so I primarily use Instagram, and that is at Justin Wyrick. It's my first and last name, JustinWirick, followed by the number 88, the year I was born. Justin Wirick, 88.
Rubbing it in. Wait, speaking of 88, what Olympics? And where were they?
Seoul, Korea, South Korea.
Who won the all around?
Elena Shushnova
Gosh,
over Daniela Silavas.
not in my heart.
I know.
Okay. Thank you, Justin, so much for giving your time. And
Thank you so much, John. This was so great. So lovely.
Thank you all for listening and watching Dance Dad with John Corella. Our show comes out every Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern. You can search for Dance Dad with John Corella on all podcast platforms, and make sure to follow and download so you don't miss an episode. Subscribe to Dance Dad with John Corella YouTube channel and turn on your notifications so you never miss an episode. And you can also sign up and become a member on Patreon at the only Dance Dad with John Corella to watch the on-camera footage of this podcast, of Justin and I, and to be a part of this old and fierce community. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to Dance Dad with John Corella. Thank you to everyone at Hivecast for all that you do. And if this episode meant something to you, please share it and subscribe. Also, you can follow Dance Dad with John Corella on all platforms. But most importantly, remember to be bold and be fierce.